for taking time to talk to drfunkenberry.com. We big fans of your music, so I'm excited to be able to talk to you and find out more about you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. Thank you for doing the interview. I appreciate it.
Now, one of the things that's I think you get a lot of notoriety for and is unusual about you is that you play the guitar left-handed, sort of upside down as it's described. Tell me a little bit about that.
Okay. Yeah, well, basically, when I was younger, my father gave me a right-handed guitar, and he tried to make me play like, a right-handed, just to play regular right-handed guitar. And I was like, God, I just can't get it. So when he would leave the room, I would take the right-handed guitar, flip it upside down, and then I would play that way. And I was like, now this works. And he was like, Malina, that's backwards. And I'm like, but it feels right. And so he would say, okay, you know what? Nobody's playing like that. He's like, you're playing left-handed. Jimmy plays that way, but you're completely backwards. And he's like, you know what? I'll just show you upside down. So that's exactly what started to happen. And then as you grow, as a guitarist, you start to figure out certain things that work for you, that a righty can do, certain things that, you can do. So, it's just kind of trial and error, and then finally you find, I think, your voice. And what I'm excited about is, obviously as a Fender endorsee, being able to have like, custom strats and signature strats, and then starting to see, you know what, hey, I want, these pickups in here. Like now, for instance, one of my babies is the left-handed body with the right-handed headstock, and I completely string it backwards. So that I have a DiMarzio pickups. So, just like little tricks and things and nice little gadgets to really, I think, help to really, make the voice happen that I want.
That's great. Now, you mentioned your dad, and I know you come from a musical family. Does your family, do you have other family members? Obviously, it sounds like your dad is musical. Do they play the same kind of music as you or instruments, or tell me about that?
Yep. I actually grew up, my mom and my dad were in a band together called The Techniques. So just as, as kids, my brothers and I, all of our friends and all of our neighbors are all musicians, from like Uncle George Clinton, who would always come by, the Babyface, these people, just people that we just were very lucky to have a plethora of great artists to choose from musically, knowing them as well as like hearing their music and understanding why they created certain things and to help us really understand music, and how they saw it. And, my father and my mother were very big fans like James Brown, so my dad would always break songs down to us constantly, saying things like, when he's doing this song, I'm Black and I'm Proud, do you notice this beat, or do you see this? When he was going through this, the country was at this time in life, you know what I mean, or this is what was going on. And then you start to look at music in just a whole other light, also as a way of inspiring people and telling a song and a story. Besides just a story and a song, but it's also a mood of maybe a country.
Sure. Did you take to music right away as a kid, or were you a little resistant because mom and dad were doing it, or how did that work out?
Oh, no. In fact, if my dad was here right now, he would tell you Malina fell out of my wife singing because my mom was on stage and she was singing the Gladys Knight Farewell My Love, and I guess she was pregnant, and then the water broke on stage. They took her to the hospital.
That's great.
And as a kid, like I always would like try to be my mom and mimic her. So my dad said that they would always have like a little mic next to my mom's, and I would always try to sing, and the band would just try to back me up, And then as you get older, they're like, I think they really want to do this like as a living, And then our cousins are like people like Whitney Houston, and so Five Blind Boys.
Well, I heard a little bit of Parliament influence in your track, "Yeah."
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I love that kind of stuff, like Sly and the Family Stone, and and of course, like I said, very fortunate to have people like Uncle George Clinton to come by the house, and you know what I mean? It's like one thing you hear the music, and then all of a sudden you know the people, and they'll sit down and tell you the stories of why this came about, and it just becomes, I don't know, different.
Yeah, the music takes on. Your dad was your date to the Grammys this year?
Yes. It's so funny. Yes, he was. Yes, my dad was so good. He was so good because I was a nervous wreck, and I was like, yeah, oh my God. So my dad was like, Malina, if you don't slow down, you won't make it to the Grammys. It was so cool. He was like, you really need to slow down. I mean, but it was so much fun because this guy would kill me for saying this, but one of my favorite designers is Kevin Hall, and I've asked to wear his dress I don't know how many times. And, we're going to bigger stars. So this was the first time he's like, absolutely. And I'm like, what? So I had Kevin Hall on, Harry Winston Jules. I was like, this is incredible. My dad was my date. Oh, we had
Harry
a
Winston
ball.
Jules. You were blinged out, yeah.
Oh, my God. I was just like, this is the best. I feel like the belle of the ball. You know, it was the best. And then when Jason Mraz was so funny, he's like, yeah, I thought my dad, too. And I thought he was joking until he was like, really serious. He's like, oh, that's so cool. You got your dad as your date. He's like, my dad's my date.
Oh, that's cute.
So that was cool.
Good. Was that your first time you've attended the Grammys? Is that the first time you've attended? Okay.
Yes, that was my very first time being in attendance, I should say, and then also, you know, just to even be, like, on the ballot to be considered in several categories, that was huge. So for me, this was just, oh, my God, what a great way to start the year.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about your music for a second, because you obviously, you know, a lot of people, you hear the names sort of Jimi Hendrix and Prince and James Brown and other funk R&B artists get kind of thrown in the mix when they're talking about you. And, you know, how do you describe your music? What comes to heart? What comes to mind when you're playing, and what do you feel when you're playing?
You know what? I always like to say that just with the new take on, I guess, the term, I really think that I say alternative R&B because to me that means that it's funk, it's soul, it's rock. I think that the reason people like Prince, even like, you know, James Brown, these people came with their own, they created their own lanes. So then it was kind of like, you know what, how do we, you know, what do we call this music? Is it R&B? What is it? And then it's like there's enough people doing it, it suddenly becomes funk, or they finally get a term for it. You know what I mean? So to me, I see it as a mixture of rock, a mixture of soul, definitely a mixture of funk. I think that when you start to hear, like, bass lines that start to just thump and groove, because sometimes people think Larry Graham, obviously, well, you know, funk. But there's still other, you know, simple bass lines that just move, that are just funky. And James Brown was obviously one of the biggest influences on something of that stature. And then you look at Prince with the rhythms. I think that, to me, right now, a lot of our music is definitely missing really good rhythm. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what when I was writing this material, and as, you know, production started, I said, you know what? A lot of people look at sometimes great guitar players or shredders as just really fast rips and just really, you know, and I thought, man, what about, you know, Ernie Isley? What about Jimmy Nolan? What about these people who are playing these dominant nines and really doing this crazy rhythm? Because a lot of people honestly can't play tight rhythm, and that's important. You need rhythm in songs. And that's why when you look at Prince and you're hearing the great wah riff with the minor sevenths to the minor sixths, I was like, you know what, I love that, and I want to bring that back. I want people to feel that, like with Kiss, remember that? You know,
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to do. And then, you know, with the Need You Lovin', with, again, the rhythms that I put in that, and then also with the Yeah track. And then I said, hey, you know what's going to be cool is to put, like, some cool lead on that. And then I was like, you know what, why not do the distorted wah? And, you know, because sometimes people are like, well, you know, it's not really radio. And then some of the songs I was like, you know what, like Hustler's Blues, I said, this feels good to my soul. So I really don't care what the perception of this one is, like the feeling of it. But the kicker is that song is doing really well, and that's the one that we had linked up with Prince Charles and for the Trust, and it was like the most downloaded record, and, you know, how it became like an ambassador for Prince Charles. So it's just amazing how, you know, you can do something and you just don't expect anything to come from it in that kind of a capacity.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, I saw that you do represent the Prince's Trust, and in that track in particular you've used in a couple different ways for charity, including recently for Haiti. Tell me a little bit about that.
Absolutely. After I saw, I mean, first of all, just seeing everything that has taken place, oh, my God, that's devastating. And I just feel that as a recording artist, as not just a recording artist, as anybody with a heart and a soul, you got to help people. I mean, you have to do something. And if your tool of trade is vocals, or if your tool of trade is nurse, you gotta lend a helping hand somehow. And that's just the way that I felt would really work. And then also, you know, looking to put certain things together to help to get more money to aid. If it helps to say, hey, to the Prince's Trust, you know what, this is something else that we really need to look at, then so be it.